The earliest edition of the 911 had an air-cooled rear-mounted 2.0-liter 130 horsepower flat-six boxer engine, similar to the 356's four-cylinder 1.6-liter unit. It was mated to a 5-speed manual, Type 901 transmission. The car had 2+2 seating, though the rear was very small. Also like the 356, the styling was largely by Ferdinand Porsche, son of Ferdinand Ferry Porsche. Erwin Komenda, the leader of the Porsche car body construction department, was also involved in the design. With the 911's future assured, 1983 saw the launch of a replacement for the successful SC series. It was the May 1984 911 3.2 Carrera, reviving the Carrera name for the first time since 1977. The 911 3.2 Carrera was the last iteration in the original 911 series, with all subsequent models featuring new body styling with new brake, electric, and suspension technologies. With the new engine, power was increased to 207 bhp at 5,900 rpm for North American delivered cars and the 231 bhp at 5,900 rpm for most other markets. This version of the 911 accelerated from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 5.4 seconds and had a top speed of 150 miles per hour. The 964 was considered to be 85% new as compared to its predecessor, the Carrera 3.2. The first 964s available in 1989 were all-wheel drive equipped Carrera 4 models. Porsche added rear-wheel drive Carrera 2 variants to the range in 1990. Both variants were available as coupe, targa, and cabriolet. The 964 Carrera was the last generation sold with the traditional removable targa roof until the 2011 991. A new naturally aspirated engine called the M64 was used for the 964 models with 247 horsepower, and it had 3.6 liters. Performance was as follows: top speed 163 miles per hour, 159 miles per hour for Tiptronic versions. 0 to 60 miles per hour, 5.5 seconds for the manual transmission and 6.2 seconds for the Tiptronic. Quarter mile, 13.6 seconds for the C2, 14.0 seconds for the Tiptronic, 14.1 seconds for C4 versions. Fuel consumption was approximately 24 mpg combined. The Porsche 993 is the internal designation for the Porsche 911 model manufactured and sold between January 1994 and early 1998, replacing the 964 model. Its discontinuation marked the end of air-cooled Porsches. The 993 was much improved over and quite different from its predecessor. According to Porsche, every part of the car was designed from the ground up, including the engine, and only 20% of its parts were carried over from the previous generation. Porsche refers to the 993 as a significant advance not just from a technical but also a visual perspective. Porsche engineers devised a new light alloy subframe with coil and wishbone suspension, putting behind the previous lift-off oversteer and making significant progress with the engine and handling, creating a more civilized car overall, providing an improved driving experience. The 993 was also the first 911 to receive a 6-speed transmission. The naturally aspirated version of the 993 Porsches horsepower ranged from 282 horsepower to the 3.8 liters 296 horsepower. The Porsche 996 is the internal designation for the Porsche 911 model manufactured from 1997 to 2006. It was replaced by the 997 in 2004. The 996 had little in common with its predecessor, with the first all-new chassis platform since the original 911 and a new water-cooled engine. Technically, it was a major change, a complete breakthrough for the original car other than overall layout. Development was shared with its entry-level sibling, the Roadster-only Boxster, which was introduced around the same time, including the first suspension, various interior components, and the engine, all of which were enlarged to the 996. However, the multi-link rear suspension was derived from the preceding 993. At its debut, the 996 featured the most significant change from the classic 911 series, a water-cooled engine replacing the previously air-cooled engine. Progressively stringent emissions and noise regulations, environmental concerns, a higher expectation for refinement, and the need for a high-performance 4-valve per cylinder engine made the switch necessary. Porsche 997 is the internal designation for the Porsche 911 sports car manufactured and sold by German manufacturer Porsche between 2004 and 2012. Production of the Carrera and Carrera S coupes began in early 2004. All-wheel drive Carrera 4 and Carrera 4S began to be delivered to customers in November 2005. The Turbo and GT3 derivatives went on sale in late 2006 and the GT2 in 2007. In addition to the coupe and cabriolet versions, Targa versions of the Carrera 4 and the Carrera 4S were also available, which carry on with the glass canopy roof design used since its first application on the 993 until the 991, which reverted to the classic Targa top layout used on the early 911 Targas. The 997 was an evolution of the preceding 996, with the most significant changes being interior and exterior styling, the most notable being the replacement of the fried egg headlamps used on the 996 with the classic bug-eye units. Larger 18-inch wheels were fitted as standard, and other engineering changes include slightly increased horsepower. However, the car is technically very similar to its predecessor. A new S version was offered with the additional power from a slightly larger engine, sports suspension, and sports exhaust. The Porsche 991 is the internal designation for the 7th generation of the Porsche 911 sports car, which was unveiled at the 2011 Frankfurt Auto Show on the 15th September as the replacement for the 997. The 991 is an entirely new platform, only the third since the original 911 launched in 1963. The 996 and the 1999 was the second new platform. Introduced at the 2011 Geneva Motor Show, the Carrera is equipped with a 3.4-liter Boxster engine with direct injection, generating a maximum power output of 345 horsepower at 7,400 RPMs and 288 foot-pounds of torque at 5,600 RPM. The Carrera S has a 3.8-liter engine, generating a maximum power output of 395 horsepower at 7,400 RPM and 325 foot-pounds of torque at 5,600 RPM. The 992 shares its wheelbase with the outgoing car, but its body is slightly longer. Front and rear tracks widened by 40 millimeters. The Carrera 2S and 4S models, the first of the 992 lot, share the same wide body, which is unlike in years past, when the rear-wheel drive models were narrower than their all-wheel drive counterparts. The 992's party piece is a LED light strip spanning the gap between taillights, a throwback to the 70s 911 Turbo. The effect widens the car visually, enhancing views of the 992's swollen hunches. The 992's wheels swell too, because those dimensions only go one way. The setup is staggered, both in width and in diameter. The latter is another first for the 911. Pirelli P0 Neo tires wrapped gem-like wheels. 1245, 35 up front, 305, 30 out back. The 992 Carrera S retains Porsche's 3.0-liter twin-turbo flat six, but there's new injectors, higher compression, rejig turbos. The intercoolers straddle the engine now, expanding their footprint and the car's heat capacity. The net effect 443 horsepower at 6,500 RPM, 23 more horsepower than the outgoing car, routed through a PDK transmission that grew an eighth gear to emphasize acceleration.